Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Ayo God, you give me breath, you keep me fresh. So check my mic, check my life, check my sight. You get me right, make me new. That's what you do.
Hi everybody,
You're my
welcome
truth.
back to the To Be Called podcast. I hope that you all have been enjoying yourselves and especially learning something so far. Remember the disclaimer, I am not a licensed medical doctor. So if you are in need of something a little bit further than this podcast can offer you, then make sure you reach out to your primary doctor or your local health department or a health clinic or emergency room. It doesn't hurt for you to see a counselor if you see that things are still going on and you need some extra support. Or you can always reach out to your family and friends and close ones. Now, this week we are looking at fear and the feeling of something being wrong. And for myself, how that played out was in dreams. So meaning when you go to bed at night, whatever time you go to bed, if it's 12 in the morning, if it's 6 o'clock in the morning, if you're taking naps during the day. However, I found myself dealing with fear in my dreams. And again, when I say dreams, I'm speaking to you from a spiritual standpoint. This podcast is from a spiritual and a physical standpoint. So if there's something that you don't understand in this episode or in any episodes, feel free to go online and look it up. Feel free to consult the Bible for yourself. Feel free to reach out to your local pastor for further support. My experience is not your experience. For some, it may be. So follow along. So at night, going to sleep, in my dreams, there were different types of dreams and scenarios that I would awaken from, or in the middle of sleeping, I would be experiencing fear. Starting with airplanes. I don't know what airplanes mean. I don't know why airplanes kept showing up in my dreams. The experience with the airplanes would be either I'm somewhere standing a certain amount of feet away from the airplane, and I would be on land seeing the airplane in the sky go down, seeing the airplane blow up in the sky, seeing the airplane spiral down, and watching it spiral down. And as it's spiraling down, I'm feeling all of that in my body, in my sleep. Also hearing when the airplane lands on the water, ocean, and it would go psh, and then I'd wake up like not understanding why are airplanes falling down in my dreams. What relationship do I have with planes? But it would leave me feeling creepy. It would leave me feeling fear because I didn't understand what it was in the dream. And then having to see the airplane, it's like you're alive and you're up on your feet and let's say you're out on the street somewhere and you're watching an airplane go down from wherever you're standing, at the bus stop, at the train, at the park, at the grocery store, in the front of the store, and you see a 747 go down. I didn't understand that. I would wake up feeling frustrated, confused. I would wake up feeling afraid, like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? You know, there was one airplane that did crash, and I remember it being sort of like I don't remember if it was like a seaplane. So seaplanes tend to be smaller, or the plane had broken up on water, and there were people standing in the water trying to help. And I saw like the yellow, I don't know if it would be the bags you would use to cover the bodies, or it was the floatable, the chairs or the floatable things that were surrounding and in the water. Then from the airplanes, I would experience fear from waking up, like in my dreams, there would be masturbation. Meaning it wouldn't be somebody doing it to me. It would be me in my sleep, in my dreams. Not me physically, but in my dreams, it would be me trying to masturbate in the bathroom. There's always been a bathroom. There's always been some water around and a bathroom. It was always in the bathroom, near a toilet or near a shower. And I would wake up wondering, why am I masturbating if I am not sexually aroused? In the natural, I'm not feeling that way. But in my sleep, that's what's happening in the dream. And when it would happen, I would wake up at the point right when either, I don't want to say that it's me, but whoever it is that looks like me or is me is trying to reach a point of ejaculation or to get there. And I would wake up. I wouldn't say ejaculation. I'm sorry. I would say climaxing. I apologize, guys, and I'm not going to delete this and redo it. So climaxing, because ejaculation is for the men. And I would wake up wondering, why am I feeling this way? Who is this? It left me feeling fearful, like when I go to sleep, what's happening in the other side of the world? So I'm feeling all of these things and not knowing what to do. Or there have been snakes in the dream, long snakes, garden snakes, black snakes. The other night it was something red like a snake with a middle part, like the top of some of those, let me see, some of those breads that you put in that you can put in the oven and put butter on the top, and it has a crease in the middle. Something that was red and long like a snake, right? So I would wake up because you're sleeping and you're half asleep, but you're asleep. It's kind of hard to explain. And here something is crawling towards your body, and you're trying to wake up to stop it. So in your dream, you're actually moving around, you're actually doing things. So there were times of trying to move the snake away, to swat it away, to run away from it, to hit it. There are times when it's gotten close to my skin. There's times when it's tried to bite me. So I'm waking up feeling, here we go again. What is this? Why are these things happening in the dream? It's leaving me feeling afraid. It was. Not anymore, because now I understand what it means, but it was leaving me feeling afraid. So we're talking about fear and the feeling of something being wrong. So I'm waking up like, does anybody else have these type of dreams? Is anybody else experiencing this? Because I wasn't, in my friend circle, that was not a discussion. I did not meet anybody in my travels that would speak about those things. And presently, now I understand, because now you can go online, on social media, on any platform, and find people who have experienced these types of things. But years ago, that wasn't the case. So the airplanes coming down out the sky, making me feel like I'm dropping. That goes to the next one, for in the dreams, falling. Not that I have something against falling, but in the dreams, I would wake up from if I was to explain it, I would say that I would wake up from, I'm thinking about it as I speak to you all, I would wake up from falling. So it's like you're falling in your dream, and you actually feel it in your body while you are asleep. So it's like you feel like you're on a roller coaster while you're sleeping. So again, I would wake up feeling dizzy, feeling vertigo, feeling like, what is this? So there was fear. You must understand, if you've never experienced these type of things, that there was fear. You have airplanes that repeatedly, not the first time and the last time, but you've had a couple of dreams about airplanes and they're falling out of the sky. I've watched airplanes circle around in the sky, go up, go down. I've watched airplanes look flat, like a pancake, going all the way up like a rocket, doing things that airplanes don't do, going up like a rocket and then coming down. And I didn't understand any of those things. So imagine spiritually that you're having these dreams and you're waking up from it and you wonder, hey, am I some type of adventurer that in the dreams I'm in these places? What does that mean that when you go to sleep, you are somewhere else? And it's real life 3D, the somewhere else in the dream is just as real as like a movie. Like if you're up and you're on your feet interacting with people. So I would be afraid, because a lot of times I've been alone. So I would wake up like, oh my gosh, what is that? Wake up sweating, wake up wondering what it is, pondering about it, thinking about it, like, what is this? And nobody to talk to it about during those times. Since then, I understand more because I've connected with people online that have had these experiences. And I just wished, again, that I was obedient years ago when God was speaking to me to get online and to do things because I didn't understand it. But now I understand. We are overcome by the sharing of our testimony, the power of our testimony. So these are things that I'm mentioning that hopefully if there's somebody else out there listening and you know someone that has experienced these things, I hope that you would share this episode or the podcast with someone else. And even if you don't understand what this means, before you label it as crazy, why don't you do some research online on, be it YouTube or Twitter or TikTok, if you will, and find out about these type of things. And there are people who would tell you about these type of dreams. But those dreams left me feeling like something was wrong. And there was this constant feeling of like fear. What's happening when I'm going to sleep? But I never thought about during the daytime when I would get up. I never thought about it anymore. I would leave it alone or I think about it. But back then I didn't rebuke it. I didn't renounce or denounce it. I didn't understand it. But today I do. Secondly, time passing. When I say time passing, how did that let me know that something was wrong? Certain seasons of the year, you're alive and you're watching you're a spectator in your own life and you're watching the different seasons go by. So fall, winter, spring. You're watching during the fall time, and you all know about these things. There are certain Hallmark movies that come on that remind you it's the season. Or when it's springtime, there's everybody coming outside looking pretty, the flowers, the blooming, the life, people being pregnant with life, being pregnant in real life. Or seasons such as, like I said, the summertime. People look forward to the summertime, especially in warmer climate places. That's a time to go to the beach, and that's a time when you see family. That's the time when you see a lot of families at parks, state parks, local parks, at adventure places, at water parks, at beaches. So Memorial Weekend, you're watching all of these things happen. And you're low-key praying to God. Okay, God, I'm holding on, I'm waiting, because people along the way have told you don't despise small beginnings. People along the way have said to you, when you stop looking, it's going to show up. People along the way have said to you, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, whether it was in church or out of church. And there comes this season, along with this holiday. Your birthday rolls around, Valentine's Day rolls around, and you don't receive anything. No one ever stops and think about what that feels like. But yet you treat yourself, whatever you treat yourself to, be it a hair appointment, a massage, getting your nails done, buying a new outfit, going to the gym, buying something smell good that smells nice, doing something good for yourself. But yet time is passing. And low-key, you're feeling in the back of your mind, okay, God, I'm being patient. I'm doing all these other things, being patient. I'm not looking at the person that has their person. I'm going to listen to the girls that are having the problems with their relationships, because that's a key reminder to know that don't rush, don't worry, your time is coming. But then the time passes and you kind of looking, okay, God, did you forget about me? What happened to me? Am I supposed to be forcing myself on somebody? Am I supposed to force myself on a job or force myself somewhere? Those are the type of questions that you ask yourself. But you have people out there that will say you ask too many questions or you question things too much. But if you were on the other end and you know that you're praying and you know that you're doing things, as righteous as you possibly can be, not saying because you want to be over righteous or you want to be saint, but because you love the Lord and you love making sure that you do things right by Him. You're not intentionally trying to be sinful or negative, if you will. But yet, even in all of that, the time is passing, the seasons, the holidays, your birthdays. Everybody doesn't have family the way some people do. And you can go to a counselor many times, and the counselor can't replace, unless that counselor is going to replace a family member, become a family member to you. All that person is to you is a counselor and somebody who reminds you that you don't have that person in your family. And you already know what you don't have. You at least should know where you're in the negative at and where you're in the positive at. So you already know. And then major life events. People getting married, graduating college, graduating high school, getting your first car, getting your first period, getting your first pregnancy, maybe losing your first pregnancy. Well, major life events happening all around. Now think about it. You're someone that's on social media. You're going to hear on a regular basis the announcements of people that have won an award, the announcement of people who are successful in this area, or the announcement of people who didn't make it. Even still, all of those things remind you of, okay, God, what's going on in my life? We didn't get married yet. We don't have the kids yet. When do I get the nice house that I want? Okay, the lookbook on Pinterest. When do I get the job that's going to help me to be able to afford that? What is it, God? So the fear is there. You fear something is wrong because everybody else is coming up and passing you. And what do I mean by that? The friends you went to school with, whether it's elementary, high school, college, they're all married, they have their kids, they got grandkids, grandkids, they have more nieces and more nephews. There you are still being at starting point one. You moved up a little bit, but then you fell back down again. And you're wondering, okay, God, is it going to get better? So in the back of your mind, there is a fear of something is wrong. What am I doing wrong? Next, we have other people brought it to my attention that I was dealing with fear. And they felt that something was wrong because they would say, I noticed that this happened to you before. Or they would say things like, that's not who you are. And I'll be like, really? That's not who you are. You're a bubbly person. You're not a person who stay indoors and be sad and locked up in the bedroom. And I know that to be true of myself because I wasn't raised like that. So in those moments when I would kind of like, they would say sometimes, oh, you're trying to isolate yourself. And I didn't realize I would just pull back because I knew that people didn't understand. And I'm speaking today not for those who don't understand. At this point in my life, I don't care if you don't understand. You don't have to understand. If you really do want to understand, I'm going to say to you again, and I will ask of you to go on YouTube, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, search for or look up deliverance, demonic attack, stagnancy, evil spirits, demonic entities. Look up those things and see what it is, generational curses. And of all the sorts, and you will find a plethora of information, and you will find people who have endured these type of things. So again, I've had people saying, that's not like you. You know that you're this. Why aren't you not doing this? Because you're not that kind of person. People who really care about you and spend time with you, you grow on them. So they should know something about you. They should be able to say, that's not your behavior. Something is wrong. Let's do a wellness check. Right? So those other people saying, oh, your family or this person or your friends or that job is not for you or that. I'm grateful for those friends because they were a reminder to me that something was wrong, that I already felt something was wrong, but I just didn't have the exact answer. And to have the answer, it's not necessarily a feel-good thing because the answer is telling me still that there's something wrong against me and I have to continue to fight after I've been fighting for years. So it's not a good look on knowing the answer, but I am grateful for the answers that I know today. Next, there have been social media messages on fear. You know how you said you get it in your feed, your For You page or your For You feed, I would say the suggestions. you would get something that says, a message that says, for instance, are you afraid, or are you tired of being afraid, or do you want your life to be better? And you would say to yourself, wow, that message is just for me. I was just thinking that. And all the amount of messages, like, again, I could mention one of their names, Latoya Okia. I think I said it correctly. Marcus Rogers. A lot of them I've been listening to behind the scenes for years. I think it's Narc Free Living on YouTube. I've been listening to them for a while. Bishop T.D. Jakes. Devon Franklin. I've been listening to these people for a while and getting messages about it's okay to be afraid or being fearful or these type of things. And then like people who deal with deliverance, Kevin Ewing, John Ramirez. These are people who spoke about those type of things on a spiritual level to let you know that fear is coming at you because it wants to keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. So I was being reminded through those messages that, in my feed, that something was wrong too, and I was right for feeling that something was wrong. What I was feeling, the message came to reassure me that you are correct. What the Holy Spirit is showing you, something is wrong, it is something wrong, and here's what you need to do. Next, there was no peace. I would be okay for a lot of things, even if I didn't have much. I've learned to be okay with not having much. But there was no peace. I would go from house to apartment, apartment to house, trying to find peace. Just wanting to be able to lay down in bed with no dreams, nothing touching my body, nothing harassing me in my sleep, nothing following me spiritually, nothing bothering me. But that wasn't the case. Everywhere I've gone, something was somewhere sabotaging. Something was somewhere interfering with my sleep, interfering with my work atmosphere, interfering with my friends, my loved ones, interfering with people, creating enemies when I would not even be thinking about an enemy. I would be busy thinking about when am I going to get a husband or when am I going to have a baby. I would not be thinking about the next person and what they're doing until things would start to happen. So there was no peace, but I would pray for peace. I would set the atmosphere in my space meaning my heart, mind, and soul, and my room, in my apartment, wherever I go to work. I create a space for me that's peaceful, but I always had to deal with other people or things trying to infiltrate the peace. Lastly, God speaks in different ways. So if you're feeling something is wrong, I believe that you should check it out to test it to see if it's legitimate. If you're getting that feeling in your spirit, in your mind, that something is wrong with a certain aspect of your life, don't just brush it off. If you can't tackle it or address it right away in the moment wherever you are right now, later on when you get some quiet time, write it down. Talk again. Family is not always family, so you might not always have family to go to, but you can find a friend. You can find your boyfriend, your girlfriend. Again, better health. Go to your local, again, health department, your primary care person, if you feel that you need to discuss something with someone. I believe in finding a faith-based counselor, as I have done in the past, because they will understand particularly things that are biblical and that are spiritual, because otherwise they will just want to give you medicine. And I'm going to say this to you. You could have a headache and take an ibuprofen and go to sleep. It doesn't stop you from having the dream. It may take you out of that pain, from the cramp pain or that headache or that body ache, but it won't stop an evil spirit or a demon from tampering with you, from interfering with your dream or your thought life. So that's why I encourage others to make sure you get connected to somebody that is spiritual in the sense of the biblical aspect. I don't mean spiritual in the sense of someone going out there and opening up other areas that God does not approve of, and now you have more demonic attack. Again, that is your choice, and as I said before in the disclaimer, I am not a licensed medical practitioner or doctor. I am speaking to you from life experience, not just with myself, but what I have seen with others. So these dreams that you're having and these little moments when you see life passing you by and that still voice, or that voice is speaking to you, something is wrong. I'm bringing this episode to a close by finishing it out with letting you know that that could be God speaking to you. And I take that nudging and that gnawing as God speaking to me, not as somebody who's OCD, because I've had people say, you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing it. But if you keep getting that feeling, and the best way for me to explain it is a mother's sense. A mother will sense if something is wrong with their child. They will be at a job, they will be on vacation, they will be across the street and feel something is wrong with their child and stop what they're doing to find out where their child is, no matter how old or how young they are. No matter if they live right across the street or they're long distance or overseas. So in that same manner, you will get that thing inside of you, and you can call it what you want, that will let you know that something is not right. And that's something that kept gnawing at me, like, what is this? I felt like a detective trying to figure out, is something wrong with my family? What are you all not telling me? Who and what? To make these podcasts, to create this podcast and these episodes and focusing on biblical things and spiritual things, that wasn't always me. Contrary to what you think, I would probably have a general type podcast where we talk about all things, because I'm more concerned about all things than just one side. But this is how I know that God brought me to this, because I would rather talk about other things. You know, I don't want to be in this position where I have to talk to you about these things and demons and that I have had to deal with them, and to tell you that I come from a family where there may have been open doors and I'm dealing with that, and to tell you that I've been dealing with people who have demonic entities with them, around them, or they dabble in things that will open the doors for it. You know, that's not the funnest thing to do. It's not the sexiest thing to do either. I'd rather be the girl talking to you about makeup and the latest buzz and the latest thing to go buy at Sephora than to be talking to you about these type of things. So I know that this is God speaking to you. It isn't the most pleasant. There has been pain associated with it. It has not been easy. And if I could take anything back, I would take back having not found this information out early on in life so I could have tackled it, because it's been a messy, long time dealing with these type of things and trying to understand it. So when God speaks to you and he gives you that knowing that something is wrong, test the spirit, test it out, go and investigate what it is. Now, God speaks to us in different ways. And again, remember, a lot of the things that I talk about are exploratory. So if you want to look further into it, one website that I would say to go on to is gotquestions.org. Maybe you're not faith-based and you don't believe in God. I will not hit the Bible over your head. My only prayer is that God will one day let you experience a one-on-one relationship with him so that you too can come to know him as your Lord and Savior. But even in the meantime, if you're somebody who believes in all of the things that I say that God says is not good, I am not upset with you, I'm not aggravated with you, and I'm not bothered by you. There will come a time when you will learn for yourself, but in the meantime, I ask everybody to go ahead and investigate for themselves. Look up the word for yourself. But God does speak to you in different ways. As in 1 Samuel 3, also with Moses in Exodus 3, he uses his voice. They hear God's voice. God uses his voice to speak to Samuel and Moses. So I'm providing you the information for you to go ahead and look up on your own time. He speaks and he spoke through prophets, Prophet Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Elijah. He spoke through angels. Angels spoke to Abraham and Mary. So go ahead and look up those scenes in the Bible. Also through dreams and visions. He uses Joseph and Daniel. He uses nature to speak. Psalm 19, 1 through 4, and Romans 1 verse 20. Holy Spirit, he uses the Holy Spirit in John 14, 26 and in 16, 13. So as we get ready to close, just a reminder. So for me, fear came along with me sensing something was wrong. And the fear came through having the dreams, waking up from the dreams, wondering, what do all of these things mean? Fear because you don't understand it. Fear because you don't know what it means. And then you get up through your life and things are happening and you don't connect the dot. You don't match it and say, okay, the reason why this bad thing happened today is because in the spiritual realm, that dream meant this. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, in June of 2025, I recently found out through listening to, and I forgot her name, Amanda something on YouTube was talking about the type of dreams. And she's a light-skinned African-American young lady, Amanda, I don't remember her name. However, she mentions that airplanes in a dream signals elevation. So I'm listening to this a couple days ago, right? And I'm saying to myself, are you kidding me? If the airplane equals elevation, then in my dreams, I was seeing the airplane go up in the sky and then crash down into the water. So then that tells me, biblically and spiritually, that whatever it is that has been working against me has been working to cut down my elevation. So I got this revelation, I want to say a few days ago, and I'm recording this today on, what is today's date? Now, I don't normally do all of this, but June the 10th, and it's about 1:30 p.m. And this is like Saturday or Sunday, the past Saturday or Sunday or Friday when I got the information from her. Amanda, I don't remember her last name at the present time. But I said, wow. So imagine you having fear about all of those things. Then the seasons are passing. You know that you're getting older. Even if you're in high school, you'll hear high schoolers say, man, I'm getting older, man. I'm about to be in college. I'm about to be this. I'm about to start adulting. You know, the same way adults are going to think I'm getting older. Not that you're going to look at wrinkles and all this other stuff, but you're going to recognize, okay, so when are we having my baby Jesus? Real talk. When is this husband coming along? I see everybody walk past. I see girls that are this size and this look and that look getting people. What am I doing wrong, God? I'm out in public. I'm saying hi. I'm speaking. But that will be a later date that we talk about this because I found out some other things further over the past weekend. So it's been revelatory. So the seasons, holidays, major life events pass you by and you're standing on the sideline like, okay, or you're not standing on the sideline. You're actually doing and still not seeing the result. They can create fear because you believe something is wrong, whereas somebody else will tell you it's a small beginning. Stay away from those people who always try to put a word of small beginning. Don't despise small beginning in your ear when it's 20 years later and 10 years later. Don't despise small beginning. Should not be forever. Right? And God would not give you a desire to want to be with a partner or to have better for your life and then don't allow you to get it. But he's also a God who does not deal in idolatry. So if something else is there before him, he's the kind of God that will let it stay there, but he will bring it to your attention. So those of you who have other things in your life that are before God, that are going on. And even if your life is working out fine for you, you might say, well, I don't need God. She needs God. She's the one dealing with demonic attack. Do know your time may be later on in life. Hope that these episodes and podcasts is around so that you can still access it to hear these things. Okay, other people bringing it to my attention, friends, family members, teachers, on the job people, strangers, repeated social media messages on fear, getting those messages pop up in your feed about fear, how not to be afraid, why you haven't progressed because fear, what's this fear? Apparently fear is a what did they say? The major demon, like the front demon. Fear is like the strong man. Fear is considered the strong man. So he would be like the lieutenant, sergeant, the head in charge, and then he brings in all the other people. So the other episodes that we talked about how fear works with other spirits. So think about how if fear is the strong man, and then all of those other lower level demons come behind him. Okay, so think about fear in that manner. And then there was no peace. Constantly thinking like, didn't I just do this? How is this happening like this when I just finished putting in my time, giving to a peaceful environment to not have peace? So keep that gnawing feeling about something is wrong. And then looking back in hindsight, being able to say that God allowed these dreams and things to come to pass in the way that he was speaking to me to show me that there was legitimately something wrong. There has been something wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I just did not have the answer as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult woman. I did not have the answer, but now I know. And for those of you listeners that are out there, I ask you to stand in agreement with me and prayer for my deliverance from this. Pray for my deliverance from this. And I stand in agreement because the Lord says, his word says, if two touch and agree, it shall be done unto us. So I'm asking you to stand in prayer and even in fasting for my full deliverance. And in the meantime, I pray that God will do the same thing for you. Those of you that may be going through something right now, please know that you are not alone. Jesus loves you. I encourage you as I encourage myself. I stay in prayer, praising, and fasting. Stay before the Lord. Reach out to your local pastor. Sometimes you can't even tell your pastor. Sometimes you can't even tell your friend. Sometimes the only person that you can tell is the Lord. And if that's where it leads you to, then I ask you to stay before God. Let him know what you're going through. He hears you. His name is El Roi, the God who sees, and he sees us. Until next time, the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but one of a love and a sound mind. I love you all. It's been a pleasure. This is To Be Called Podcast.
It's been so much fun. It's your girl signing off on the ones and twos, but not without him. You're going to have to choose. So seek his kingdom first, and all things shall be added unto you. I ain't nothing without you, Abba. Mic check, mic check.